Okay, bear with me, guys. Everything's in a bit of disarray. This is a live stream, so we're doing everything live. We're on the let's see who's going to be on this call again. Let me pull up the as you, of course, you can read. You can read the title. We are waiting for. Let me see here. Let me pull it up for you. Call to start. It's supposed to start at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Right now it's 12:56 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have David Lemieux, former IBF middleweight champion, on the call. Marco Reyes. Remember, he fought Chavez Jr. That's who David Lemieux is going to be fighting. We're going to have Lucas Matthysse, on the call. He's fighting Emmanuel Tranzformer Taylor. Remember, Taylor fought Chris Algieri and he fought Adrian Broner. Up-and-coming contender JoJo Diaz, Manuel Avila, and Golden Boy Vice President Eric Gomez. So these are the undercard fights for Canelo versus Chavez. So what we're doing is, let's see. Let me make sure I share the video around. What we're doing is we're going to try to get some questions in. You know how these media call works. They start with people like ESPN, Yahoo, CBS, and then they get down to the people like me. Now I have in the past got questions in on media calls before, but it all depends on how long and how many questions the people before me ask. So for example, a guy like Dan Rayfield may ask 3, 4 or 5 questions. The media calls only usually last for about a half an hour to an hour. If you get an hour, you're lucky, but you got to make it through all those questions before they start to get somebody like me. So the last time I was on a media call that actually got questions in was for Golovkin and Jacobs. So we'll cross our fingers on that. So feel free to ask any, post any questions in the on this page. Feel free to ask me in the post any questions in the description box. Not the description, in the comments. If there's anything you want me to ask. So going forward in the future, just to make a few announcements. As you know, we're going through a major transition. But we're in the finalization of the transition we've been making. And as you also know, I have a website that I'm running that's very active now. Damn it. Do we do it this way or do it this way? And I'm starting a podcast as soon as I get my studio down here redone. So what I mean by that is we're getting these wood panels and everything taken down. We're getting, better lighting, a whole studio, type vibe where I'm going to have a television, that's going to be, able to show you content. Of course, I'm getting like a brand new command center. That's all set for May finally to launch. It's all set for May, to launch. So it means we can launch the podcast in June. And the podcast will be on Mondays between 1 and 3 p.m. And we're going to have a guest on, if there's 4 weeks of the month, a guest on 1, 2, or 3 of those shows a month. It's going to be somebody relevant. Also, we're going to be doing the podcast after major boxing events. So there's going to be a schedule to it. We're going with, we're a lot more consistent. Let me see if the call started. We're a lot more consistent, than we used to be, as you can see. And things are moving fast. So in the meantime, while I do some things in the background, before the call starts, I'm going to go make me some more tea, get me a piece of grapefruit, and we're going to chill, talk some boxing. We're going to talk about, obviously, during the call, but not after the call, we're going to talk about the fight or the fights on the undercard. Then we're going to talk about Canelo versus Chavez. So I have a nice lineup of videos I'm going to be doing today after this. Let me see, is that done? Will there be a call? What do you mean? I'm EMC. I'm confused. What do you mean? Or what are you asking? No, I've been sleeping. It's just that I got a system now. So basically what I do is now, I start my days at about 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning or so. And I work until about 5, 6, 7 p.m. There's breaks in between. But basically the goal is, to do 3 to 5 videos a day. In this case, today I've already put 2 out. This is 3 if you count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more videos to put out today. Then tomorrow, I haven't decided if I'm going to the media call. I'm at the media workout for Birdo versus Porter. If I don't go, I'm going to go to either the press conference or the media workout. But I will be at the fight this Saturday. So you can expect some good content. Coming from there. There's a lot going on. So right now we're at a point in time where we're building up our fan base on all platforms to turn them into subscribers. So since I took that 19-month layoff of like only doing about maybe 5 videos or so a month, the time is now to not catch my competitors, but to leapfrog them, which is why having the website. And as you can see, go check it out. It's very nice. Let me go show you real quick. Is to leapfrog them.
Junior, Undercard International Media Conference Call. My name is Victoria, and I'll be your operator.
All right, we got it. Listen to the call.
At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode, and later we will conduct a question-and-answer session. During the question and answer session, if you have a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded, and I will now turn the call over to Eric Gomez, President of Golden Boy Promotions. Eric, you may begin.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the International Media Conference Call for our undercard fighters on the exciting upcoming clash between Canelo and Chavez Jr. On Saturday, May 6th, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, and live on HBO Pay-Per-View. This incredible undercard, we provided a perfect build-up, which will be by far and away the biggest boxing event in 2017 thus far. It's going to be an incredible event, and as you guys well know, the tickets are sold out already. However, we'll have closed circuit seats priced at $75. They're all general admission, and you can purchase them at the MGM Resorts International Box Office or concierge desk. Tickets can also be purchased by phone or a major credit card, and the phone number for that is 1-800-745-3000. Tickets for theater screening for Canelo and Chavez Jr. can be purchased online on www.fandomevents.com or at participating theaters. I want to thank, before we get started, I want to thank a few people that are involved in the undercard and are instrumental in making this happen. Camila Stefan from Eye of the Tiger, our partner with Lemieux. Paco Damien with Paco Presents. Mario Arano from Arano Box. Joseph Guardia, Star Boxing. And Ralph Heredia, which is the manager for Joseph Diaz. Also, I can't continue without mentioning our sponsors, our incredible sponsors that have helped us out for this event. And they've been great the last few years. Tecate, Mold, Hennessy, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Adriana's Insurance, and Interjet. And lastly, I want to thank HBO, the best television network for boxing, which will broadcast the television, the televised undercard, live on pay-per-view. Thank you for everything you do for HBO. And now, I want to introduce to you the first fighter on this call, and that is Manuel Tino Avila. Manuel's undefeated, 22-0. He'll be opening the pay-per-view in a great match against Joseph Diaz. And he's coming straight out of Northern California. So I want Tino to say a few words to introduce yourself. Tino?
How's it going?
Great. Thank you, Tino. Thank you. We'll get to the questions shortly. All right. Now, obviously, as you guys know, he's going to be facing Joseph Diaz, another undefeated fighter, Olympian, 23-0. This is really going to be a big matchup. Joseph has been on HBO numerous times, and he's looking to make a statement on this pay-per-view. So, Joseph, if you can introduce yourself and say a few words.
What's up, everybody? It's Joseph Diaz. Can't wait to fight night week 6.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Joseph. Okay, we can open it up to questions.
If you'd like to ask a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Okay, and our first question comes from Salvador Rodriguez from ESPN Deportes. Please go ahead.
Hola a todos, Eric, saludos para Manuel Avila. Manuel, ¿tú te imaginas siendo, no sé, un Miguel Berchel donde, bueno, pues obviamente es una buena prueba, pero ganando a Joseph Díaz pudiera ser algo más grande, ¿no? Pudiera ser algo, incluso una prueba de campeonato del mundo para ti?
First, let me translate that, Tino. I'll translate it, and then we can do it. So he said, this question is from Manuel Avila, Tino Avila. Obviously, this is a tough fight, fighting Joseph Diaz. It's a tall task, but obviously, I mean, the rewards are big. I mean, if you can beat someone like Joseph Diaz, you'll be right in line for a world title. How do you feel about this fight?
I feel good about this fight, taking one fight at a time, focusing on this fight. And, after the 12 or 10 rounds that are done, whatever is great, we go from there.
No, que se siente muy bien por esta pelea. Obviamente va a estar listo, es una pelea dura. Pero lo que ha hecho ya desde este momento en su carrera, pelear varias peleas de 10 asaltos, se siente muy bien y listo para esta prueba.
Claro, para ti, Eric, los ganadores del Undercard, estamos hablando de todos los Undercard, las 3 peleas principales, ¿pudiéramos hablar que los ganadores pudieran disputar un título del mundo en su siguiente pelea?
Sí, obviamente, son peleas importantes, son peleas que pueden ser peleas estelares en otros eventos. En esta pelea aquí, 2 prospectos invictos, es una gran pelea. Tú sabes muy bien que cuando 2 peleadores invictos pelean, siempre es una pelea de mucha emoción, mucha técnica, y el ambiente se va a poner muy bien en esa pelea. Va a pelear Lucas Matthysse, es una pelea importante, ex campeón monarca. También Matthysse obviamente podría pelear por un título con cualquiera de los campeones. Y Lemieux, pues ha demostrado que todavía tiene mucho que dar en el deporte y acaba de ganar una pelea importante y otra victoria por Lemieux. Lo va a llegar más cerca a una pelea grande con Canelo, con Velázquez, una revancha, o con Chávez, o con quien sea de los campeones.
Perfecto, gracias por ahora.
Gracias, Salvador.
Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. And there are no questions at this time.
That's it. No more questions for both fighters. Okay, let's have some closing statements. Tino, if you want to say something in closing before we move on to the next fight.
Well, I know we'll both be ready May 6th, and good luck to Joseph Diaz.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, Joseph.
I should have got a question in.
Yeah, I just want to thank God for that. Going about promotions, Robert.
That was my fault.
This opportunity to fight on such a good card, and
I want to thank you as well for giving me an opportunity to fight on the best network. May 6th is going to be a great night of boxing. Manuel is going to test his A game. He's going to put on a great fight. And I'm going to be 110% as well. So it's going to be a fight that nobody wants to miss. And it's going to be a very action-packed fight. So I'll see you guys on May 6th.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, guys. We'll see you guys soon. Train hard, and we'll see you guys in Vegas.
It's the S7. I'm getting the S8 probably, like after I come back from Berto Porter. S7 Edge.
Antonio?
Hola, Lucas.
Okay. Okay, Lucas. Okay. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Okay. Mantente aquí, te van a anunciar un rato, ¿ok?
Bueno.
Okay.
Waiting for the next fight to come up. The next fight they're going to talk about is, if I'm correct, Matthysse and Tranzformer Taylor. The first fight that was on.
You are connecting the next two fighters.
The first fight they talked about was the JoJo Diaz versus Emmanuel Avila fight. Next, we're going to have Matthysse, or they're going to have Matthysse and Tranzformer Taylor on the line. I'm going to ask Matthysse about the layoff. I think that's a good question, right? To start, you know, I'm sure somebody will probably answer it. Ask it before me. But if not about the layoff, then what? What weight division will he be at? Or will he settle at? Will he still stay at 140? Or will he be fighting at 147? Also, what's the weight for this Taylor fight? Future. Oh, what's going on with the eye? Remember, he quit pretty much the Victor Postol fight because he said he couldn't see. What's up with that? You know? Lemieux is fighting Marcos Reyes. Marcos Reyes is the guy Chavez Jr. fought in his last fight before British. Chavez Jr. fought Marcos Reyes like 2 fights ago. You know, so I'm guessed that this fight, that said they're connecting the next 2 fighters. I hope the call is still connected. Yeah, he's fighting Marcos Reyes. Marcos Reyes fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Here's the guy he's fighting. I'm going to go look him up real quick.
We are connecting Emmanuel Taylor now.
Okay.
For your patience.
Let's get some questions in for Emmanuel Taylor. But real quick, let's go look at this guy real quick. This is the guy this is the guy Lemieux fighting. Marcos Reyes. 35-4-0, 26 KOs. He's been stopped once. He got stopped last in 2011. Chavez Jr. fought him in 2015. You know, this is when did Chavez Jr. make weight for this fight? I believe he did. This is the fight he made weight for. Then he went on to win, you know, by TKO, then lost by TKO, then won, then lost. So it's safe to say that this fight is going to be taking place at a catchweight or at 168 because David Lemieux, even in his last fight, was having issues making that 160 pounds to fight Curtis Stevens. You know, remember, he skipped the IBF day of weigh-in, you know? So let's go look at Emmanuel Taylor. I don't know the last time I've seen Emmanuel Taylor fight. Yeah, the last time I saw him fight was against Roscoe. You know, so let's look at some questions for him. You know, he's on a 2-fight winning streak. Let's go see if he's ranked anywhere. No, he's not ranked. I know that for sure. I checked already. You know, big fights were against Adrian Broner, of course. Remember that? This was actually, if I'm correct, the last time Adrian Broner made a 140 for that Alak Verdiev fight. He fought Kareem Mayfield. Chris Algieri, I guess you could say the biggest win of his career is Kareem Mayfield. We're still waiting for them to connect Emmanuel Taylor and or Lucas Matthysse. So that's the next fight on the list, and then they're going to be talking about Lemieux and Marcos Reyes is going to get on the phone. You know. Yes, I always got to have a good pen. I can't use like those regular, you know, basically the pens I get, you know, they come like 4 in a pack for like $5 or some shit, or like $5-6, some shit like that.
Due to technical difficulties, we are going to go ahead and start with Lucas to make opening remarks. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I want to.
We're starting with Lucas Matthysse now.
A few words. Obviously, Lucas, the machine Matthysse, with a record of 37-4. He's making his comeback fight. He's been off for a while. We're very excited for this fight. He's going to be fighting Emmanuel Taylor. So I'll introduce Lucas. Lucas, ¿qué tal? Eric Gómez, si podría saludar nomás a la prensa, por favor, unas cuantas palabras.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bueno, la verdad que un saludo para todos. Acá estamos en el Indio entrenando a la orden de JoJo Diaz con mi papá Mario, mi cuñado Mario de Narváez, profe, y bueno, trabajando muy bien acá en Indio.
Okay, perfecto. He wants to say hi to everyone. Good morning, and he's in Indio right now training. He started his training camp in Indio, and he's training with, as you guys well know, Joseph Diaz, who's a new trainer for this fight, and some of his old team. His father's with him, Mario, and getting ready for the fight. So he's excited for the fight. So let's go ahead and open it for some questions.
Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press stars and 1 on your touch-tone phone. And our first question comes from Salvador Rodriguez from ESPN Deportes. Please go ahead.
Hola Lucas, un saludo. Tengo un par de preguntas para ti. En este tiempo que estuviste fuera, ¿pensaste en ya no volver a competir? ¿Pensaste en colgar los guantes, en retirarte?
No, la verdad que no había pensado eso. Lo que sí tenía un poco ganas de descansar. Nada más, había tenido muchas peleas duras.
He needs to speak up.
Nada, tenía ganas de descansar.
Okay, deja producir eso, chavo, antes de que. Okay, well, the question was, Lucas, good morning. Did you ever think at any point of retirement because you had this long layoff? And Lucas said, no, not at all. I never thought about retirement. No, I just wanted to rest. I had a string of really tough fights, and I just needed some time to rest, and that's exactly what I did. I rested.
Y segundo para ti, Lucas. ¿Cómo te gustaría llevar tu carrera ahora que regresas? ¿Te gustaría ir rápido? ¿Te gustaría ir pelea por pelea, paso por paso? Manuel Taylor no es un rival a modo, un rival sencillo. ¿Con qué ritmo te gustaría llevar tu carrera?
No, sí, la verdad que primeramente es pasar a todos. Es un rival que tiene experiencia, que ha peleado en buenas peleadores. Nada, que está bien preparado. Y después, bueno, pasando esta pelea, creo que bueno, para que trabajan mucho mejor porque se dice buena pelea.
Okay, so the question was, you know, for this comeback, obviously this is a comeback fight, but after this, what's next? Do you want to go fast and go after some big names, or do you want to go fight by fight? What's your game plan for this part of your career, second part of your career? And Lucas basically said, look, it's a comeback fight, but Emmanuel Taylor's a tough fight.
Yeah, you're right, John.
He's a fighter with a lot
Mayweather says Emmanuel Augustus was his toughest fight.
My team, with my promoter, and see what's next. But right now, I'm fully confident.
Mayweather wanted to fight Kareem Mayfield or Berto. He fought Berto.
¿Cómo te gustaría llevar la carrera de ahora que platicamos.
Mayfield got robbed in,
Obviamente para nosotros
I think it was his last fight.
esta pelea es importante que es un nuevo peso y desgastó bastante Lucas, entonces no es una pelea fácil. Emmanuel Taylor tiene experiencia, como lo dijo Lucas, y es un peleador duro. Entonces primero paso por paso tiene que ganar esta pelea y nos vamos a reunir con él, con el equipo, con Mario Arano, y a ver exactamente cómo se siente y a ver cómo se siente y de allí hacemos una decisión.
Gracias.
Okay, gracias. I'm told Emmanuel Taylor now is on, so I'm going to introduce him. This is obviously a fight that's an association with Star Boxing. I want to thank Joe DeGuaria for helping us get this fight done. Emmanuel Tranzformer Taylor has a great record, 20-4. It's a great opportunity for him. If you could please say a few words, Emmanuel, and say hi to the press. There we go. If you could just introduce yourself and just, say hello to the press.
My name is Emmanuel Tranzformer Taylor. I'm coming out of Edgewood, Maryland. Been boxing for about 20 years now, and looking forward to make it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we can open any questions for Emmanuel Taylor as well.
Our next question comes from Dan Raphael from ESPN. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Aaron, could you ask Lucas, he's coming back after his layoff to fight as a welterweight. I was wondering if he could just talk about the particular reason why he elected to do the rise in weight. Was it a matter of struggling to make 140? Did he just see there being possibly
one question I was going to ask,
opportunities or bigger money or better opponents at 147 pounds? What was his main reason for the change in weight class?
Okay, Lucas, la pregunta es para ti. Esta pelea estás regresando en 147 en welterweight. ¿Por qué hiciste la decisión de subir el peso? ¿Estabas batallando en bajar en 140 o nomás porque hay más oportunidades en ese peso? ¿Por qué decidiste cambiar de peso?
No, yo más que nada porque de los 16 años de 140 ya creo que la voz una pelea que me importaron completo nada, para tener el cambio de mi carrera también, para el cambio de cambio.
I thought that I had to make the change. I had been at the weight for a long time. I'm 34 years old now, and the truth is, the last two fights they were a struggle. I struggled a little bit the last two fights of making weight. My body just felt that it was time to move up, and I'm feeling good right now.
Eric, could you also ask him about, I know he took part of the reason was because of the orbit bone injury that he suffered in the last fight against Postal. Is that 100% healthy, and is he confident that, even if Emmanuel, hits him right on that spot, that he's going to be okay?
Lucas, obviamente descansaste, pero también tuviste un problema con tu ojo. Tu ojo ya está bien, ya descansaste suficiente. Está bien tu ojo, te sientes bien y seguro que tu ojo en esta pelea no puede haber problemas.
La verdad que tuvo después el golpe de la pelea, nada más, después de que estaba muy bien. Ahora apenas llegué acá a Los Ángeles, me fui con los médicos, me fui al chequeo y estaba todo bien, así que no voy a haber problema.
Yeah, no, I feel confident there's not going to be any problems with the eye. I had a training camp in Argentina, and I was training out there, and I had nothing wrong with it. I got hit plenty of times there, and now, I changed my training camp. I'm out here in Los Angeles, in Indio, actually, and I've been sparring, and I feel confident that there's not going to be any problems with the eye.
Eric, this is going to be his first time with Joel, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could you ask him, the guys he lost to are Garcia and Postal. Does he have any, I know Emmanuel's a solid fight for him, tough fight. Does he have any desire in the future to have rematches with either of those guys? The Garcia fight was a pretty close fight. Postal fight we know what happened there, but does he have desire to ever see these guys again in the ring?
Lucas, la pregunta es, quisieras tener una revancha, peleaste con Dani García, perdiste, y con Postor, la última, ¿tienes ganas de una revancha con esos dos peleadores? Yes, of course. I mean, look, I'm willing to fight anybody. I'm always want to fight. I always want to fight the best. Of course I would. But it's up to my team. I mean, whoever you guys tell me to fight, I'll fight.
All right, I have a question for Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. You there, Emmanuel?
Emmanuel, you there? You might have it on mute. Emmanuel, are you there? You can unmute your phone. Can you hear us, Emmanuel?
And it does look like Emmanuel is having technical difficulties and dropped off, and we will announce when we have placed him back in.
Okay, no issues. I'll if he gets back in, I'll punch it. But anyway, thank you, Eric, for translating. Gracias, Lucas.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
And our next question comes from Mitch Abramson from RingTV.com. And we do have Emmanuel back on the line.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Just to kind of piggyback on Dan's question, my question is to Lucas. Lucas, do you view this fight as kind of just a test at 147? And if you don't feel comfortable, would you?
I gotta make some more tea.
140, or are you definitely at 147 at this point in your career?
Lucas, la pregunta es para ti. ¿Tú consideras esta pelea como una prueba en este nuevo peso? Y si no te sientes bien, quizás podrías bajar otra vez a 140, o ya decidiste quedarte en este peso.
No, ya decidí quedarme en este peso. Tuve un buen trabajo para adaptarme bien. Seguramente me voy a tener que adaptar. Es un cambio más que no.
No. I've decided to stay at this weight. I feel very good at this weight. I've been working really hard, and I feel comfortable at this weight. And I just to battle to get back down to 140. I don't think I have it anymore.
And just to follow up on that, Eric, I mean, welterweight is a very deep division. I mean, Pacquiao, Thurman, Garcia, Elbrook, Spence. I mean, how does he think he fits in to the welterweight division? As he, climbs back into contention. I guess alongside those top contenders for welterweight.
¿Cómo te sientes, Lucas? ¿Cómo te sientes en esa división? Hay muchos campeones muy buenos, los que él nombró ahorita, Thurman, García, y todos los campeones, Spence. ¿Tú te sientes que puedes, capaz de pelear con esos grandes campeones en esta división?
Sí, seguro. Tengo mucha fe, mucha confianza. Creo que en la 140 tenemos mejor. He demostrado que tiene poder, así que bueno, yo tengo un desafío nuevo y nada, creo que estoy preparado para pelear con la pierna, realmente con eso.
No, of course. I feel very capable at this weight class. I feel that I have a lot of confidence in myself, and I'm feeling really good at this weight class. So I can challenge anybody. I would love to fight Danny Garcia again, or I'll fight against Thurman, whoever it is. I feel very capable at this weight class.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mitchie.
And we have another question from Dan Raphael. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot. I wanted to ask Emmanuel a couple of questions. Hey, Emmanuel.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Listen, obviously the bigger name in this fight is is Lucas Matthysse being the kind of bigger fights that he's had compared to you. You've got a lot of experience, though. I know you're coming to fight. I've seen you fight many times. How big of a deal would it be for you to get this fight where you're going to be the underdog, would pull off this upset?
I mean, it's a real big deal. You know, I just want to get back in there and do my thing and do what I do best. You know, Lucas Matthysse, he's a great fighter. He's real strong, real durable. So I'm just looking forward to this fight. You know, I've been training hard, working hard. You know, just means everything in the world.
Indeed, John.
For this opportunity.
Do you think that maybe you get him at the right time? As we've discussed, he's coming off of a lengthy layoff. He's coming off of a pretty tough injury.
Hey, quick, guys.
And a KO
shoot me some
loss.
questions in.
And maybe
what should I ask Matthysse?
Or
Emmanuel Taylor? I might be coming up next.
Maybe we'll be a little bit rusty from the layoff, where you've, you know, maybe haven't been as inactive as he have, even though it's been a little while since your last fight. But you feel like you might get him at the right time and be able to get him, you know, get the win here?
I think I got him at the perfect time. You know, he's coming off of a KO loss, eye injury. His last fight before that, he was in the war. So I think I called it the right time right now because the long layoff like he did, and it's just the perfect timing for me. Perfect.
Now, his big weapon, if anybody's watching his fights knows that Lucas is a big puncher. Have you thought about or discussed with your team how to deal with the probability that you're going to get hit with a good, clean shot?
Well, of course, you know, I'm in camp. We watch a lot. My coach watched a lot of tapes on him. You know, we got different tactics that we're using in this fight, and we got a great plan for this fight. A great plan. So if you get hit with a big shot, we know how to recover. You know, it'll show in the fight. It'll show in the fight how we've been working on things and how everything's going to play out in our favor.
And one thing, you know, he's going up to welterweight, made his announcement that this is where he's going to campaign at this point forward. You have been a guy that's fought maybe a little bit close to welterweight, maybe at welterweight once or twice, mainly like, you know, 40, 42. What's your weight class where you, I know you took this fight at welterweight, where do you want to fight regularly? Is it at welterweight from now forward? Is it going back to 140 after this fight, depending what happens? Is it somewhere in the middle? What are you as far as your weight division?
I mean, I fought a welterweight 3 times, and I fought a global guy at welterweight. So it don't matter welterweight or light welterweight. The opportunity presents itself at welterweight, I'm gonna take the opportunity again. So it don't matter welterweight or light welterweight. I think it's both.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much, Manuel. Good luck to you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Keith Ayat from PaxtonScene.com. Please go ahead.
Yes, my first question is for Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I was just wondering if you could tell us who the biggest puncher you fought is so far.
I wouldn't say the biggest puncher, but yeah, it was snap with Adrian Garner. You know, the biggest puncher, but he had loads of snaps with punches. I never really fought somebody with a big punch that really stung me, but I would say Adrian Garner was a little snappy. I mean, not the biggest puncher, but he got the top, a little pop to him.
Okay. In your fights, I mean, was there a point where you felt you were hurt by anybody or not really?
Absolutely not. I always recovered very quickly. No, I never been really hurt at all. If I got dropped, I would get right back up and shake it off, but that's about it. But never been really hurt in a fight.
Okay. I know you were down in the fight against Victor KO. You were down against Mayfield also on any other times or no?
Yeah, Mayfield was a flash knockdown, hit me in the back of the head, and I fell down. They called it a knockdown, so I fought right back up. One of the last 2 rounds after that, so.
Okay,
no flash knockdown, and I fought myself.
And those were the only 2 times?
Again?
Those are the only 2 times?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 3 times. Him, Reyes, AD, and Victor Taylor.
Okay. All right, great. And I actually have a question for Eric, if you could, Eric.
Just tea, lemon,
well, obviously, this is not
honey.
an easy fight for Matthysse, especially coming off a long layoff. But what are your hopes for him in this comeback?
No sugar. The honey is the sugar.
Obviously, we're not looking past Emmanuel Taylor. Emmanuel's a very tough guy. I was involved in the Adrian Broner fight and also in the Orozco fight, and he put up a great fight with both fighters. Just it depends how he looks. It depends how he looks. If he struggles, then he might need a tune-up after this fight. He might need a tune-up, and if he looks sensational and great, then we're going to sit down and go after any of the champions. I mean, Lucas Matthysse has a great name. He's a fan-friendly fighter. I think TV networks love him. He's been on Showtime. He's been on HBO, a number of times. So any of the champions would love to fight him, and it would be a great fight because of his style. So it really depends on this fight. We'll see how he does. Look, there's a chance he can lose this fight, and he might want to retire after if he loses this fight. So this fight is very, very important to all of us.
Okay. Eric, can you ask him about what made him one of the Danish trainers and how it's been going with Joseph Diaz so far and what maybe he's helped him with as best we can?
Definitely. Lucas, la pregunta es para ti. ¿Por qué decidiste cambiar entrenadores? ¿Y cómo te ha ido con Joel Díaz hasta este momento? Adelante, Lucas. Sí. So he said basically he decided to go back to his roots, and he went back home to southern Argentina and then Peru, where he's from, and he started working with his dad a little bit, who was the first person who started boxing. And then he made the decision to just change. He wanted something different, and then he came out here to work with Joel Diaz. He was recommended, and so far it's been great. They've been working really good, and he's been learning a lot.
Recommended you also?
What's that? Can you repeat that, please?
Could you ask them who recommended Joel Diaz?
¿Quién es la persona que te mencionó Joel Díaz, Lucas?
¿A mí?
Sí. ¿Quién es el que lo recomendó?
No, yo la verdad que para la pelea de la ciudad. Y nada, ahí como trabaja.
It was his decision. It was Lucas's decision.
So basically,
he decided to work with Joel Diaz. He did a training camp for the Garcia fight, for the Danny Garcia and Indio, and he trained out of the same gym where Joel is. And that training camp, he saw some of the things he was working on, and he kind of liked the way he was working with other fighters. So that's the reason why he decided to go with him.
So basically, Matthysse is fighting at 147. If he loses to Taylor, they're saying he likely will retire.
Yep. I think he's done with the questioning. Okay. Any other questions?
There are no more questions at this time, and we will now be turning our attention over to David.
They just chipped me for my question.
Great. Okay. So thank you guys. Lucas, ya es todo. Unas palabras nomás.
They just chipped me. Shenanigans. What have I done to deserve this treatment?
Okay, he said thank you all for being on the call. I'm in training camp here in India, training really hard for the fight. I'll see everyone in Vegas. Thank you for the
Son of a bitch.
Okay, now Emmanuel, if you want to say some closing comments. Emmanuel? Okay, we might have lost Emmanuel again, so that's fine. Okay, so we can get started with the next one for the next fight. Do we have both fighters on the line? Marco Reyes and David Lemieux?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about Matthysse at 147. We're going to talk about it briefly after the call.
Marco, you may be muted.
Excuse me, David Lemieux is here. Okay, David's there. Okay, great, David. Thank you, David. But is Marco on? Marco Reyes? Okay, let me introduce David. David is, how's it going? It's Eric Gomez. I'm really proud to introduce very hard-hitting David Lemieux, coming off probably, thus far knockout of the year, and fighting just 2 months later on this great pay-per-view. He's got an incredible record, 37-3 with a bunch of knockouts, almost all wins by knockouts. And I want to introduce him and to say a few words. David, if you could to say a few words to the press, please.
Hi guys, hi everybody. Extremely excited to be on. Of course, I didn't take much break since the last fight when I did the great job against TstreeT. With the great knockout I had against them. I took just 1 week off and then headed back to the gym. When he announced me that I was fighting on this show, I couldn't say no. It's a great opportunity. It's all the Mexicans in the world that you need to have.
You gotta fix that, bro.
It's like an echo. I think there's an echo.
This is bizarre. This is bizarre ass media call.
Okay, just stand by here. We're having some technical difficulties.
I like my sweet potatoes, just a whole potato, split in the middle.
I think it's done now. There's no more. David, are you still on?
A little butter, right? And some brown sugar. You're good.
Okay.
I don't like candy yams.
David,
I like yams.
Yeah, David?
I do like yams.
Okay, there's a little bit of an echo. Let's go ahead and open it up to questions, please.
Okay, and our first question. We have a question from Terrell Barron from SiteView360.com. Just go ahead.
Hey, Don, can you hear me? This question is for David. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How you doing? My question for you is this. Now, Marcos Reyes fought Chavez Jr. at 168 pounds, or the catchweight was 170. My question to you is this actually 2 parts. What weight is this fight going to be at? And in the future, will you be going to or staying at 168? If so, how soon?
We say at 160. This fight is going to be actually at 163. That's the catchweight. The weight is not going to be an issue. We just had a fight at 160, so we can make 169. So it's going to be a catchweight at 163, and that's the weight for this fight. But I'm a middleweight. I'm going to stay at middleweight.
Okay, final question. This is going to be your second fight this year. Is the goal for, if you win, to return in the fall or possibly early winter? And if so, possibly against who?
You know what? We wanted to stay active, and that's what we're doing. Of course, the ultimate goal is, as Oscar announced, to fight the winner of the Canelo Chavez, which Canelo is on the radar, of course, but first we have Marcos Reyes to take care of, which I have no doubt we're going to do a good job with.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Just as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question for David and Marco, please press *1
One more time.
Hello? Okay, now it's off. It's someone's phone is messed up with an echo, but go ahead, Dan. Can you hear me, Dan? Yeah, Dan, we can hear you. You're there. Go ahead. You can ask your question.
Okay, no, I was just saying hello to David. I don't know if David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. David, you were talking about your knockout against Curtis Stevens. Obviously, it was spectacular. Marcos Reyes has been known as a very tough fighter, but he did get stopped in the 7th round by Elvin Ayala 2 fights ago. Elvin Ayala has been a pretty good boxer for many years, but kind of a journeyman guy and not a big puncher at all. And so I wonder, when you look at that on his record, and you know that he got stopped by a guy like Ayala, who's not a puncher, and you're one of the best punchers in boxing, coming off that absolutely sensational knockout against Curtis Stevens. Are you just licking your chops to touch this guy and think you can get rid of him?
I think he's in big trouble. But of course, in boxing, you don't head to a fight thinking that you're gonna knock out somebody else. He is a very tough opponent. He did great fight against Chavez Jr. We're not underestimating him. We're gonna be ready for 10 rounds if it's necessary, and 10 hard rounds. I'm gonna be ready for anything, and I'm gonna go in there strong. I'm there to make another statement, and of course, I want to be the best, and I gotta fight like the best. So come May 6th, I'm gonna get the best of Lemieux.
When you have 33 knockouts in 37 wins, and most of them, are pretty impressive, pretty crowd-pleasing, exciting knockouts. You're not stopping guys, on cuts. You're not stopping guys, with a 3 or 4 punch combination, and the referee jumps in. Many of your knockouts are of the 1 punch variety, where you're putting guys out for a 10 count, a 20 count maybe. So how is it, when you've done that so many times, that you don't go into a fight thinking you're just going to do it again? I mean, that you have to sort of get the mentality that, you might have to go 10 rounds on a given night.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I learned my lesson in a certain fight that the power is not a game plan. It's a tool. The game plan is to be ready for anything. When I go against any opponent, I always expect to fight the best of that opponent and to fight them at the best, and to make sure I'm ready to fight them for 1 round or for 12 rounds if necessary, and to fight them strong. So when I train, I have that mentality now. I don't just go in for knockouts and think that they're going to go out in the first 3 rounds. I'm ready to knock them out for 12 rounds if necessary. I'll be strong for the duration of the fight.
All right, I have another question for you, David. You fought on the undercard of Canelo's fight when he fought Amir Khan, and you knocked out Glenn Tapia. That was last May. Now a year later, on another Canelo Alvarez undercard against Chavez, you're fighting again. Obviously, you're both with the same promotion company. I think most people would look at a matchup between Canelo Alvarez and David Lemieux and say, hey, that would be a pretty exciting fight. What do you think you have to do to get that fight? Because obviously a lot of people want to see Canelo and Chavez fights happening. No guarantee he wins. A lot of people want to see him fight Triple G down the road after that. But you're obviously sitting there as obviously a big possibility to get a chance to fight him. Is there something you think you need to do? Have you been given any assurances or promises by your management or your promoter that you are up in the bullpen, so to speak, as an opponent to take on Canelo at some point? How do you continue to go through these undercard fights knowing that you're going to be an option, but having not actually yet gotten the fight?
Well, after what I do May 6th, I'm gonna put myself in a position where everybody's want to see Canelo Lemieux. I'm not asking for a position. I'm gonna put myself in a position. So what I do with Marco Reyes will put me in where I want to be. to be fighting against Canelo. But first, I'll take care of Reyes. He's a good fight.
Thank you. Eric, could you address that? I mean, you guys promote Lemieux. He's scored some good knockouts. He's been on a lot of your television cards, and now he's on another one of Canelo's undercards. You know, we all know they're in the same weight class. You know, can you just speak to the possibilities or to the long-term future of the possibility of Golden Boy making that match between Canelo Alvarez and David? You know, assuming these guys keep on winning their fights.
Come on, we can't hear you, bro. I'm going to repeat back to you what they're saying. Okay, so basically what he's doing is they're building up Canelo versus David Lemieux. Things are getting really interesting, especially if Chavez upsets Canelo, or what happens to Golovkin if Canelo chooses David Lemieux if he beats Chavez. I want to ask a question to Marcos Reyes. Let's see if we get in.
All right, and our next question comes from Francis Packwood from RDS. Please go ahead.
Hi, Eric.
Eric Gomez's mic is low. He's the Golden Boy vice president.
On David after his defeat against Golovkin, what changed on your perception since his victories against Curtis Stevens or Fabius in Montreal?
Something's up with Eric Gomez's microphone or his phone.
I'll ask a question in French, David, and we'll translate it afterward. Salut David, ça va bien? Je veux savoir un peu, c'est quoi les dangers qui te guettent contre un boxeur là, qui est peut-être moins d'un niveau élevé comme les combats que tu as disputés là, au cours des derniers mois?
Le tout en danger contre n'importe quel boxeur, justement, un boxeur qui Reyes comme Reyes dit, c'est un boxeur qui peut pas se préparer, c'est vraiment de comprendre.
We're going to talk about all this that we learned from the call for those who couldn't hear at the end of the call. Also, I'm going to upload the audio, the high quality audio without, me in the background later on to the channel. And I'm going to be uploading Canelo's call to the channel in about the next couple hours or so.
affronter Reyes, de continuer pour un combat éventuel contre Canelo. C'est sûr qu'on peut prendre soin de certains adversaires pour qu'on regarde dans tout ça. Alors, c'est sûr que contre Reyes, on va plus de ma première fois que j'ai lutté contre Tino.
So as David was in the danger he faced against the Reyes, did you just respond that there's danger against every boxer, and he didn't stop since his last fight against Stevens, and he still continued to training and prepare for he hoped a fight against. Thank you.
Right, and our next question comes from Francis Packwood from RDS.
I already have some question.
All right, our next question comes from Mitch Abramson from RatingTV.com. Please go ahead.
They're going to get me back in for my other question.
Questions were already actually asked, but I'll ask David another. David, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I have
David.
questions.
Just curious, I mean, your last knockout was, you were very, extremely impressive. When you knocked out Curtis like that, I'm just curious, I mean, was that scary to you, just seeing an opponent, I guess, rendered unconscious, and do you think, heading into this fight, will there be any reluctance on your part to do something similar to your opponent? I mean, do you think, were you scared for Curtis, and do you think that might carry over into this fight?
When I fight, I always want to improve the best of me. I want to go in there vicious and do what I do best. And I'm not artist. I'm a power fighter. The first solo round. So when I knock out a fighter, I always want him to wake up after 10 seconds, but I still got Curtis Stevens was a different story. It was not so much. He got what he got, but it's his sport at the end of the day. And he got up when
He said he talked too much. He got what he got.
I was pleased for sure with my
Talking about Curtis Stevens.
going to hurt my buddy up the long term. I'm just there to do my job, give a great show, and after that, shake hands. Good night to his family and to my family.
Okay, great. All right, thanks. Thank you.
All right, and our next question comes from Keith Ellis from BackToSteve.com. Please go ahead.
Actually, my questions were already asked. Thank you.
All right, and our last question comes from Dan Raphael. Go ahead.
They did me dirty.
I don't think I punched back in, so I'm good. Thank you.
Why didn't I answer my question, please? One more.
All right, and our last question comes from Terrell Van from FightView 360. Please go ahead.
All right, how you doing, David? This question's for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, nobody seemed to get your prediction on Canelo versus Chavez. Could you break that down for us?
My prediction for Canelo Chavez, seeing the way that Chavez is training and the way he is fit and everything, I think people should underestimate Chavez, but we all know Canelo is a very good fighter, and we're all expecting Canelo to, go out and beat Chavez and spread, but I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to be a difficult fight for Canelo. Chavez is definitely a good boy, but if I had money to put, my money would be on Canelo. But it's definitely not going to be an easy fight. They both are good fighters, but I think the edge is on Canelo.
All right, thank you, sir.
There are no further questions.
Of course he wants Chavez, the woman Canelo, to win.
So with the Marvel Reyes, he's actually up in the mountains of the training. So if any of you have any questions on the Marvel Reyes, you can email us at press@boldvoice.com. He'll answer your questions. We're probably going to connect to that. Reception goes down. So once again, I want to thank everyone for participating on media calls. David, if you can take some closing statements before we finish.
Excuse me, I can't hear very well, guys. Sorry.
If you could just say some closing statements, David, right before we're done. So just a couple of closing statements, and then we'll finish with everything.
Absolutely. Cinco de Mayo is an exclusive night. I'm very excited to be on. Fans be watching. I promise a great show. I promise a great fight on my other half. I'm going to be in tremendous shape. I promise excitement. It's going to be an exciting fight. I'm very excited to be on and to give the fans a great night of boxing. Canelo Chavez fight at the end. So excitement is promised.
That's great. Thank you very much, David. We can't wait to see you in action. So thank you for being on the call, and I want to thank all the media that participated today and for all the questions. Again, we're sold out, but we do have closed circuit tickets still available. They're $75. Again, you can get them at the MGM Resorts International Box Office, or at the concierge desk, or you can call 1-800-745-3000. Thank you very much, and we'll see you shortly at the fight in Vegas.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Okay. Yeah, so there was a lot of technical difficulties during that call. So what I'm going to do is, obviously this video is still going to be up for you to be able to watch, but tomorrow, or probably not tomorrow, probably later on this week, I'm going to upload the official high quality audio of the call, and you won't be hearing me in the background. You won't be seeing unless you know it's my questions. So basically, Lucas Matthysse is back. The last time he fought was, when was that? When was the last time he fought? Of course, that was Victor Postol, remember, where he pretty much quit, you know, but it was found out that he had a broken orbital bone, you know, the same injury that Antonio Margarito and Kell Brook had. It's said when you get that type of injury, you start seeing double and triple, and he did say that, you know. So when he got knocked down by Victor Postol, he stood there, and he took the 10 count, and he kept like rubbing his eye. A lot of people thought he quit. I may have used the wrong term, but it was found out later that he really was hurt. So now he's going to be fighting at 147 pounds, and the questions and concerns I have with that is, how does he rank against the 147-pound fighters? You know, is there much left there for him? I mean, Matthysse has been through some wars, you know, especially when you go to 3 of his last 4 fights. You know, even though he outboxed Ruslan Provodnikov, you know, tough fight. Remember that Fight of the Year candidate, or it was Fight of the Year, wasn't it? He had with John Molina, you know, and then he got, you know, systematically, you know, outboxed and beat down by Victor Postol. You know, you can't forget what happened to him with Danny Garcia. So, you know, you have to wonder what's left of Lucas Matthysse inside as far as heart, but also, you know, is he a little long in the tooth because he's been in so many wars, and I believe he's 34 years old, you know, or close to 34 years old. When you look at the top of the 147-pound division, of course, you might want to say, okay, well, Pacquiao's #1, but I consider him to be like a novelty, you know, entertainment type fighter. He's only in it for the money now, or if not him, his promoters are. You know, so the #1 147-pounder right now, in my opinion, is Keith Thurman. Of course, Manny Pacquiao was at the top, but Keith Thurman, as far as active, young, in their prime boxers, you know, then, you know, you got, I'm not putting them in any particular order after this, but then you got guys like Danny Garcia, you know, Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Lamont Peterson, Errol Spence, Jesse Vargas, Adrian Broner's up there. You got Sam Eggington now. You can count him. You know, Andre Berto. You know, Adrian Granados. You know, Felix Diaz. You know, depending on if he's fighting at 140 or 147. You know, so there's names out there for him, but how does he match up against these names? You see what I'm saying? You know, how does Matthysse match up against these dudes? You know, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does against Emmanuel Taylor, a guy who fights between 140 and 147. He could fight in either division, but also, if I'm correct, Emmanuel Taylor has never been stopped in his career. So Matthysse or Eric Gomez has pretty much hinted at that if Matthysse doesn't look good, you know, then he's going to have another tune-up fight after this. But after this fight, if he wins against Emmanuel Taylor, he'll likely be ranked by the WBC and pretty much the other sanctioning bodies, you know, pretty high. I would say somewhere in the top, you know, 10. And then after that, he would fight his way back up. And then, you know, if all goes well for him, he could be fighting for a title by January or March or somewhere around that line of 2018. You know, or if the WBC or WBA want to get a little frisky, you know, they can make him a mandatory. You know, sometime the next mandatory for 147 WBC will be the winner of Porter versus Berto. Then they can slide Matthysse in sometime and make him the next mandatory for, you know, next year. You know, so the options are there, but it all depends on how he looks. And if he loses, he's like to Emmanuel Taylor, he's likely going to retire. You know, so I'm interested to see what Matthysse is going to show up, because remember, at one point in time, he was the most feared person at 147 pounds. After Danny Garcia, that disappeared, you know, because John Molina was laying some hands on him, you know. And now it's like people are questioning, well, does Matthysse still have the heart? And also that fear factor that he used to have is somewhat gone, right? People are not really saying that, like, people are not afraid of Matthysse anymore. You're not hearing none of that. And I doubt that any fighters will duck him now, you know, because just like Emmanuel Taylor is saying, it's like, you know, it seems like some pieces of him may be gone. He didn't say it in those exact words. I'm paraphrasing. You know, so moving on, David Lemieux is taking on Marcos Reyes. Marcos Reyes fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. 4 fights ago, or for Chavez 2 fights ago. And that was at a catch weight of 170 pounds. David Lemieux said that this fight will be taking place at 163 pounds. He plans on staying at 160, even though it has been talked about in the past, you know, that he's been struggling making that 160 pounds. He even skipped the IBF day of weigh-in for that fight. Who would I like to see him fight? Me and Matthysse? Truth be told, I would love to see him versus Broner. You know, but Al Heyman and Golden Boy are not really working together on that scale. They're working together, but only, you know, we've only seen them do, you know, they've done Chavez and Canelo, you know, but that's huge, big money, and they've done Canelo versus Khan. But in between that, there's been co-promoters, you know, that's kind of been like the liaison between the two. So I would like to see Lucas Matthysse versus a Broner. I would love to see Lucas Matthysse versus a Sean Porter. But how will those fights get done on a political scale? See, it's deep. If you allow me to explain, because a fight like that is not a pay-per-view fight. So of course, either Adrian Broner, you know, or Sean Porter would have to go to HBO, or vice versa to Showtime. And Golden Boy still has bad blood with Showtime and not working with them. And if I'm correct, their fights are Golden Boy fights are exclusive to HBO. And remember, they took all their fighters from Showtime, you know, and Showtime was pissed about that a few years ago to HBO, you know. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a tough situation, you know. But other fighters I would like to see him fight, you know, I'm talking about at 147. You know, put him in there against Jesse Vargas. You know, I think that after Emmanuel Taylor, a fight with Jesse Vargas would be a good, you know, solid fight for him. Or, you know, go after you know, over to UK, get some of that UK money against maybe a Sam Eggington or something like that. You know, I doubt that Lamont Peterson will want to fight him again, but would he? You know, now that that fear factor of going, because Lamont Peterson at that point in time seemed to be a little afraid of Lucas Matthysse, you know. So there's questions there, you know, that I have, and I'm really interested. No, he's fighting at 147. He confirmed during the media call today that he's not going back to 140. He's going to be fighting at 147 pounds. You know, so he's done with 140. You know, so The 140-pound landscape is, I don't know. So moving on to the next subject, because I still got, I've been working since 6 in the morning and it's fucking 2 p.m. So my work day is almost over, like 4 or 5 hours. And I still got videos to put out. It's like this, right? Looking at, David Lemieux's situation, it seems as though they're really angling for Canelo versus Lemieux for September. For some reason, I think that they're trying. I think that Golovkin may not get that fight. Now, Golovkin was supposed to fight in June, against Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, which is a video I'm doing later on, paid his mandatory Avantazio or Tommy Langford step-aside money to fight Golovkin in June. Golovkin has since decided not to fight in June and to wait for the outcome of Canelo versus Chavez. But nothing has been signed and official yet with Canelo and Golovkin, which makes sense. You don't want to sign that fight when there's a good chance, or a chance, even if it's not a good chance, despite what you may think, that he may lose to Chavez. So then the marketing landscape changes. So now you have Golovkin waiting for that fight, but Billy Joe Saunders doesn't have a fight. And you have Lemieux, who's fighting on Canelo undercard, who's talking during a media call today, like he has, like, on good knowledge that there's a strong chance that he may get the Canelo fight if Canelo wins in May. So it's a very complex situation. It's a very complex situation. And truth be told, I would love to see Canelo versus David Lemieux. But I don't want to see Canelo versus David Lemieux after Chavez. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, we already seen you beat a big, powerful, pressure fighting power puncher. I understand that, it's going to be a good fight. But no, come on, bro. I want to see, if you beat Chavez Jr., I want to see you fight Golovkin. And then possibly in December, which is he's supposed to return around that time. And then, fight David Lemieux. I don't want to see that fight next. Marcos Reyes, if you don't know, fought Julio Cesar Chavez in, what was that, 2015? In 2015. Light heavyweight. Let's go to this one. So Chavez is fighting Canelo in May, of course. He fought Dominic British in his last fight, which was December of 2016. And then 17 months, before that he fought Marcos Reyes, which was just 2 fights ago. Since Marcos Reyes lost to Chavez Jr. unanimous decision, he has fought 1, 2, 3 fights, and he is 2-1. He took his first knockout loss to Elvin Ayala. That was a fight that took place down in Dallas. The next fight after he fought Chavez Jr., he fought Chavez Jr. in no, not the next fight. He fought Chavez Jr. in July of 2015. Then Marcos Reyes fought a guy by the name of Cesar Burrowman. Almost a year later, well, actually exactly 13 months later. Then in November of 2016 is when he took his first knockout loss. Then in March of 2017, he got a knockout win over a guy that was 10-11 at the time. He's now 10-12, and now he's fighting David Lemieux. And I understand this is a fight for David Lemieux to go against a name that's somewhat known, because you can tie Marcos Reyes in with Chavez. But also David Lemieux, is coming off the biggest knockout win of his career, where that shit was horrifying. I ain't gonna lie, that shit is still tough to look at, where he knocked out Curtis Stevens. His last loss was against Golovkin, which was in remember, that was on pay-per-view. I brought that fight, which was in October of 2015. Since then, he beat Glenn Tapia. Glenn Tapia shouldn't have been fighting him in the first place, in my opinion. That was a 4th-round stoppage. He fought a guy by the name of Christian Fabian Rios, 10-round unanimous decision. I streamed that fight online. You had to pay for it, too. Sometimes I pay for some fucked up shit. What else? And then he fought Curtis Stevens, in his last fight, which was in March, a couple of months ago, and now he's fighting on the Canelo Chavez undercard. So that's pretty much the wrap up of that. You also have JoJo Diaz, who's fighting Tino Avila. or Avila. I'm going to be covering all these fights, of course. I am not going to Canelo versus Chavez. The fights that I'm going to is I'm going to be at Berto versus Porter this weekend. We also have somebody at Langford versus Kurt Cedes over in the UK. I am going to be at Crawford versus Diaz personally. And I'm still determining whether I'm going to go to Kovalev versus Ward. But if I go to Kovalev versus Ward, I'm only going to be out there for 2 days. I'll get out there for the weigh-in, and I'll be out there for the fight. And then I'll be leaving directly on a flight back home right after the post-fight press conference. Like, I'll be literally immediately leaving. You know, so that's something. When does Diaz fight? He's fighting on Canelo versus Chavez. It's something that we're working on. Also, I'm not going to be watching the Ramirez and Valdez card until I get back from Berto versus Porter. So I'm not overworking myself, because remember, we're covering 2 fights this week. You know, so there's a whole bunch of video editing and work I got to do on Saturday. You know, so I'm going to be out in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center like as soon as the doors open. That's going to be like 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. or some shit like that. So I can watch this Kurt Cedes Langford fight and get those interviews and everything up. Then, of course, I got to cover the whole Berto versus Porter card, you know, and I'm just not going to have time. And then the Murray versus Rosado, I'm just not going to have time for that pay-per-view. I'm going to watch that the next day on Sunday, you know. So as I said, you know, there's a lot of things going on. We have a podcast that's launching. I finally got my timing down. So this is getting done the middle of May. It's going to be done around like May the 20th or something like. It's going to be done before I leave for the Crawford Diaz fight. So I'm getting all this stuff taken down. We're getting better lighting. We're going full 1080p for the live streams. You know, I have a custom desk being built. You know, we're getting a flat screen to put, you know, on the you know, to show you stuff. Boxing memorabilia. We have new Fight View 360 apparel coming probably tomorrow or Thursday. What else? Podcast is starting in June. You know, it's going to be on Mondays between either 12 to 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I picked those times because they're good for all time zones to a certain extent, or majority of the time zones, you know, that I want to target. We're also going to be doing a podcast after each major fight. So technically there could be 2 podcasts, maybe 3 if there's breaking news each week. We got I've hired a company to help. I'm still running my social media, but I overlook things, you know, so I hired a company to run my social media for me, you know, or help run my social media for me. So if you're on my Facebook page, you're going to get a lot of news. News is going to be quick. You know, the news is going to be quick. Like I got that shit set up. So if it's some breaking news, that shit is put across all my social media platforms quickly. Yes, I already said we have merchandise coming. You got to understand. I'll say it again, and I don't be trying to be cocky or anything, especially if you know me, you know, it's like this. Like I've done something that it takes people their whole life to do or years to do. I've done it in like 19 months, you know? So when it comes to merchandise and everything, I really didn't have the time to do it myself. So now, you know, I have my partners who are the head of that department. So they're working on it. So like I said, we got new Fight View 360 stuff coming that I'm going to be wearing, you know, and promoting in my videos starting this week. And then we're going to start selling merchandise soon, you know, so we're working on all that stuff, you know, so understand, like I built a media publication. So let's go check out my website real quick before I bounce. Over the last couple of days, we just got a search engine optimization, and we're getting advertisements on the website. Like I said, I'm not going to be having like advertisements that have nothing to do with, you know, what we're doing. So, you know, this wasn't easy to do, and it was very, very, you know, this website was very, very expensive to put together. So what we're doing is, as time goes on over the next couple of months, you're going to see a lot of, let me see, are we sharing? Yeah, you're going to see a lot of changes on the website as far as interactivity. You know, I want my website to have things, you know, that you know, like when you go to an article, you can get everything you need. For example, Andre Durrell versus, you know, Jose Ustagai for the interim, for the IBF interim. For example, you click Andre Durrell's name. What do? You get his box rec. You know, you get his information. You know, what else? Any of the fighters, you know, you get promos, you know, of their last fights. You know, you get the fighters, you know, you get ticket purchase information. You know, so I'm making sure that when you go to my website, you know, that it's not just a regular website. You're getting everything that you need from the website. For example, let's go look at Andre Berto's stuff that we put out. You know, so I'm making sure that that you know, I'm not just putting this stuff out just to be putting this stuff out. The goal is we're promoting fights. You know, as a media company, our goal is to hype up and promote fights. So like I said, if anything, you click any links, they lead to something. You see what I'm saying? You know, so as I said, the goal is for, you know, when you come to the website to get everything, you know, that you need. You know, what's the goal? So like I said, I may be making this shit look easy, but it was a lot of fucking nights and a lot of, you know, days and comments of people saying, oh, TstreeT, you fell off and this and that and this and that. You know, but I've been planning all this shit for a long time. You know how many hours of fucking tutorials and shit, you know, and reading I had to do, you know, how much money, like I can't say that I've lost, but I've lost like thousands. Okay, I've lost well over, like I'm talking about like due to inactivity, you know, now we're consistent. Now I'm talking about over those 19 months I was inactive, I lost probably like maybe $40,000-$50,000, some shit like that. You know, no bullshit. Y'all think I'm joking? No bullshit. So that's why, you know, I get a little frustrated, you know, when I talk about the other channels and about how they, you know, like cut corners and everything. Like I know that if I would have continued my momentum after Mayweather versus Pacquiao, because I fell off in June of 2015. If I was to have continued my momentum, I would have been at least 50, 60, probably 70, 80,000 subscribers by now, maybe more. You know, maybe more. So it did hurt. So now the goal was, and I knew back then that my subscribers were, you know, because believe it or not, I had more subscribers on my channel that was only at that point in time about a year and a half old than my competitors. Should I say their names? You know who they are. And then they just surpassed me through you know, me like not being active. You know, so the people you consider to be number one, and I'm talking about the other guys. I'm not talking about the ESNs and all that. I'm talking about the other guys who use that full fight shit in their videos. You know, I was there above them, and then as I fell off, they surpassed me. You know, so now the goal is to leapfrog them, because guess what? Not only do I have YouTube, which is popping, I have a website which is starting to pop now. So it's a double bubble. Also, I've made many connections with many promoters, managers, and fighters over the years that now I'm starting to put into fruition. You know, so I have the media contacts now to be able to, you know, be able to call up for the future, especially when the podcast starts, to get like interviews to say, hey, can such and such come on the show and yada yada yada. You know, so things, you know, things are moving. You know, things are moving. So now, you know, I have a nice little system down where I'm putting about 50, 60 hours a weekend, but it's a different thing when you work from home. I'm getting to these media events, as you notice, at a higher frequency. You know, usually I'm at like a media event myself at least once a week. We covered the entire Ward versus Kovalev press tour in 3 cities in 3 days. You know, so we're getting there. You know, I'm not gonna say we're getting there. We're there. So now I'm just organizing. Yesterday I signed a new. I have a new partnership and contract. You know, with YouTube. You know, as a you know, like a sponsorship partnership. So what that does is I had a nice long lengthy conversation with them yesterday. We've been going back and forth in dialogue for like a couple of years now, because I was kind of like in limbo. Like I didn't have a contract. My contract expired like 7 months ago or some shit. You know, so now, you know, my videos are going to be promoted more, because right now, if you find my videos, they're sometime on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th page. Before, when I was consistent, They used to be on the first page, but that's what happens when you're not consistent. YouTube starts blocking you down. You know, what do you mean break the rankings? Break down the rankings? Oh yeah, of course. Well, see, remember the podcast. The reason why it's been pushed off so long, because if you do a podcast, the same shit I do on these shows, especially those random live streams I do when I talk about, you know, random issues and shit about like my personal life, you can't do that on the podcast. Podcast is to be completely, you know, professional but entertaining, and you also want to make sure that people understand that you are a real person. You know, meaning you want to be yourself to a certain extent. But with the podcast, you know, it's going to be boxing news. We're going to be going deep into things because I don't think nobody's doing it, you know, like I plan on doing. Like exactly going like deep into the boxing politics of things. And of course, as I talked about before, everything I talk about in my videos, you can go look up yourself. So I'm not the type of person who's going to come up here and say some shit that can't be verified. You see what I'm saying? So now with the website, and the promoter, you know, and the PR and the media connections, now what I always wanted to do is the things I talk about in my videos can be backed up by my own content. So therefore, people can't say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, or I'm not official, or that I'm not getting to events like people used to always say before. Now, you know, I'm getting to events and getting people to events. So the goal going forward is not to get to all these events myself. My goal is to get to about one event a month. But the goal is to send people to multiple events a month. You know? So, feel free to, if you want to help out in any way, shape, or form, email me at editor, that's EDITOR, at FightView360.com. You know, if you email me and you're interested in going to fights, even if you want to go to one fight a year, you know, understand you're going to be working and understand there's going to be compensation. But if you want to type of people that's going to say, well, how much I'm going to get paid, and you ain't never done shit, you know, or you ain't never, you know, you don't know the first thing about what to do, or you're not ambitious, then, you know, you might as well need not apply. You know? So right now, for the people who have contacted me, which has been, you know, well over 50 plus by now, understand that I'm getting back to you piece by piece. So slowly, but if there's a fight in your area, right? You can expect me to contact you. If there's a fight that's like, oh, you know, it's in such and such Minnesota, I remember like, oh yeah, such and such is in Minnesota. There's hardly ever any fights in Minnesota, even if it's a Fox Sports card, a small Golden Boy card. Still, that's a good place for you to start. You know. So like I said, thank you. I got a list of videos I'm supposed to do today. I did the Berto versus Porter video. I did the Charlo versus Hatley video. I got the Canelo media call edited. I got to upload. I just got off the Lemieux call. So I got to do a video on Chavez and Canelo, one more. Langford versus Kurtzidis and Murray versus Rosado today. So those are the next video I'm going to do. I'm going to take an hour to go get something to eat because I've been sitting in the same spot since like 6 in the morning, you know, some shit like that. I'm going to go get something to eat, and then we're going to pump out some more videos. Tomorrow, I haven't decided if I'm going to the media workout for Berto versus Porter yet. But if not the media workout, I'm definitely going to be there for the final press conference. And also, I'm going to be at the fight. You know, so that's my week. It's going to be a very, 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 very busy week around here. And as you know, each week from now on out, we got nothing but big fights. You know, this week is the Berto Porter card with the other cards too, the top ranked card, the Kurtzidis Langford card, the Murray Rosado card. Then next week we got Joshua Klitschko, which is a big mega fight. I haven't decided if I'm sending anybody. And what is that? I got a splinter. I haven't decided if I'm sending anybody to any fight week events. We're not going to the fight. We're not, you know, we're not covering the fight. Obviously, I'm going to be doing videos on the fight, you know, before and after, and a live stream on the fight. The fight, meaning Joshua versus Klitschko, is going to be on HBO. You know, live. No, excuse me. It's going to be on Showtime live at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on HBO at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then the week after that, you know, we got Canelo versus Chavez. You know, so there's a lot of shit going on, and I'm coordinating it all. Please subscribe. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live.